Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video we're going to be breaking down the patch 6.1 trailer for Final Fantasy XIV piece by piece. I was going to post my reaction, but unfortunately the Twitch broadcast that I was doing for my usual live stream was kind of choppy when it came to the video. Here's a quick clip of what it looked like. Oh, never mind, frame rate went down again. Oh, Crystal Conflict. Whoa, this looks... Oh my god, that looks so cool. Why is it so messed up? Oh, it's gonna make me... And so yeah, pretty much the entire time I'm just talking about how choppy the video is instead of what's actually happening, or a little bit of both. So I figured we'll watch the trailer again right now, you know, just to do it, just as a refresher, and then we'll break it down and analyze it like we normally do. Let's get started. Alright, let's kick it up. I've actually only watched the English trailer like twice. I guess I'm watching it on the PlayStation channel also. I didn't even notice that. Every time I see that. I think of 16 every time I see Creative Business Unit 3. Oh, it's such a good theme.
These days without everyone around.
Oh, I'm still around, Tataru.
Not that I'm pining for your return, you understand.
I am. Give me some content.
I have my sources, and I know that each and every one of you is doing well and keeping busy with your endeavors.
Oh, I'm about to be. You already know, Tataru. Oh, the music's so good.
It's the keys of fabulous riches. But I'll be the king of fools to simply give it away.
I like that they haven't given us the name for this dungeon yet, because I think I know what this dungeon is. Talked about it on State of the Realm and the Final Fantasy XI. Acrophes, seeing the armored chariot. I saw a Final Fantasy XI crab over there. Ugh. It's the Ulzadal. Reminds me of the Ulzadal Undersea Ruins, which is crucial to what I think it actually is. The spin. I'm so excited for PvP. The maps. Look at the bombs exploding. Full Bomberman. Boom, boom. Was that a white mage limit break? There's Vritra, making things serious again, of course. Dancer Charming. Don't really get a good look at the bonus effects on this one.
As you know, I've been researching
Look at little
ways
mammoth.
to travel from the source to one of its reflections.
Yeah, that's a safe idea. That's the duty support system. Hildibrand 5.3.
Well, looking for hints at least.
And Singer. I have no idea what to expect with these like glitching faces and stuff.
Some dark
Omega follow-up. Pod racing for the Arcasadara. This is the roll quest line. Looks to be the Lambs of Dalamud also. And they're inside the tower right now, exploring it. And then the Myth. This has to be the background music for Myths that we're hearing right now. Should be Fire God. Oh, the voice acting. Yeah, Foshino has a little trust there for that. Them disappearing, I'm very, not concerned, but very interested for. That should be Azima. That's Rolger. Like, he punches through a portal, and it comes out another portal. Balls. I don't know what's happening here. I have a feeling that has to do with Myths of the Realm, though. Nalden Thal. Oh, man. I'm so pumped for this 24-man. You see that whole 24-man standing underneath them.
Enter my realm, if you dare.
I wonder if that's Azima talking right there. That's definitely a quote from the 24-man. And of course the artwork, always grand. And everyone's favorite part. This I feel like wasn't... They tried to spoil as little as possible with this for Ultimate. It's just a reminder that it's happening. Because like some of the other previews I felt like were more epic, if that makes sense. Alright, and that is the patch 6.1 trailer. It is jam-packed full of things. So we really got to go frame by frame with this one, and I'm sure I'll miss things, so be sure to put those in the comment section below. Alright, so going back to the beginning, I mean, there really isn't that much to say about the start of the trailer. I can hear one of my cats desperately trying to get into my office. I mean, Tataru kind of reminiscing. This is just going to be part of the MSQ. This is probably where we get the Undying Codexes from this cutscene in particular. We see an empty Mordona, not an empty Mordona, an empty Rising Stones in Mordona. And we get a brief glimpse of some of the different Scions. And we get kind of an idea throughout the trailer of what they're going to be up to in the various adventures that they're going to be achieving tangentially to what, I guess, whatever we decide to do. Ishtola we have here, and I'll talk about her in a bit. Kryl, who we heard was actually going to be more front and center in the MSQ, at least in the immediate future. I'm curious to see how much past that, because she, really, they don't do too much with her, even in Endwalker. Minus a smile right here. We do get to see that Urianger J is over by the Ragnarok. He is still in Sharlayan. And I guess that doesn't surprise me. I imagine he's going to spend a lot of his time with the Loporrits. Not that I guess he feels responsible for them, but I mean, they have thousands and thousands of years of knowledge and experience. They just don't have any sort of interactions with humans. Like, he has the idea of all people, Urianger J teaching the Loporrits how to interact with people is beyond me, but I'd imagine that's what he's going to be spending a lot of his time doing. And I think Thancred's honestly just kind of visiting him here. I can't imagine Thancred's invested in that, but I have no idea what Thancred's going to go do. You'd imagine he'd want to help Ishtola, because you'd imagine he'd want to go back to the First to see Reen. And he may go down that road eventually, but there's a lot of ways that the paths with the First can intersect again. Now, going forward, Graha, who looks to be a part of a lot of individual aspects of this patch, especially as we go throughout, and if we were to look at the special site. She's knitting. Not really much of a surprise here. Looks like it is a sheep that's actually being knitted onto that. So he goes forward, not that I'm pining to get you back, you see. Now, as we go forward a little bit, I don't know why I'm clicking instead of just doing this. So, we have the dungeon. It looks like Estinian is handed a map, but more importantly, who hands him the map is kind of a big question mark, because, man, if I didn't know any better, and I think I don't, from the back, that's a very Nero-esque appearance, but like, we have just a bunch of merchants. We have what I assume is what's his face on the right. No, it's not, because it's actually he or she is fully dressed, the Arcasadara on the right. And then we have Estinian in his casual wear. But the fact that we're seeing this person from the back, maybe my brain is still fried looking at it. But I don't know, especially because we know that there's that little minion with the red car with Nero. I can't imagine he has that much to do with this. So, like, why would he hand Estinian a map? So it's probably just another NPC I've forgotten about that we encountered in Endwalker, but he's got a treasure map with him, and Estinian ends up being the one who gets the treasure map. And the big thing is, what is this treasure map? And I can't help but feel like these are the ruins under the bounty, something that we learned about at the end of 6.0, the undersea ruins under the bounty. It's got a location, it's got a light up thing. I'm not sure if that's just supposed to help us indicate or open an entrance, but it seems to be inspired by the Alzadal undersea ruins of Final Fantasy XI. Fun fact, in the Alzadal undersea ruins, those are actually the remaining corpse of Alexander, of the original Alexander in Final Fantasy XI. I don't think we'll have anything as grandiose here. I think they are just host to a number of treasures, and that's a dungeon. And I think that's why they don't want to tell us the name, because they know that we're going to read into that a lot. And they've said that themselves. And if this is actually the treasures that are under the bounty, then I have a feeling that that's why they held it back. But other than that, I already mentioned there's a bunch of Final Fantasy XI references. That enemy in particular, I named it earlier. I've already forgotten what it's called because there's so many thoughts going through my head right now. Not Acrophes. Acrophes is a leech. It's something like that. I could always Google it. And then we have the armored chariot. You can see the Final Fantasy XI style crabs, which we have in 14 too, but they always harken back to that. We have this like squid-like boss here. We have the armored chariot. So the armored chariots were a big thing in Alzadal, as well as a piece of content called Assault and a piece of content called Salvage, where they had all sorts of abilities. Now, I think this one in particular, I don't think that's the homing missile one, but it might just have all of the abilities. So they each had like one very unique ability. One of them could brainjack people to mind control them. In Final Fantasy XIV, that would probably be a forced march. Homing missiles would be just a giant AoE that you had to weaken in particular ways. And I forget which one had the barrier skill that you're seeing here. It didn't work quite the same, but I think it was regarded to as one of the easier ones, if memory serves. But we do see some claws along the outside that look like they fire lasers. Or no, they probably are the receiving points of the lasers that are being fired right now. So They probably light up as like part of an animation or something to determine what side is actually going to be attacked. This thing is completely original. We already know there's a minion for this thing as well. And it spins, it grabs you, spins you. You could see, I'm watching Ishtola and the various NPCs do the little spin around. I'm using the wrong buttons here. Like you could see when he grabs us, like look at Estinian and Graha. He lets us go and then they're all just spinning. Of all the characters to see spinning like that, I find it hilarious that these are the ones that we ended up getting to see since they're using the duty support system for that. But no particular inspiration here. It does just seem to be based on either Thavnair or Uznair style culture, and not too much to take away. Crystal Conflict I need to make a whole video about. We do see a few little things here or there, some use of the new actions. We know everyone's getting like personal heals and defensives that they can pop if they're in trouble. And we get a little bit of a look at the maps other than the most basic one. They showed us the most basic map with an actual gameplay demonstration during the live letter. But we know the other ones have these like Bomberman style bombs that appear. And it also looks like there's actually like fire bombs on the track. So I wonder if those have to be activated in any particular way, or if it's kind of just warning you that one is going to drop there and that you have to bear it in mind while you're trying to do the rest of the mechanics. So this is going to be a much more chaotic map than the base map that we got to experience. Now this, yeah, I think that's a white mage doing a Lily LB3. Like it looks like just a laser beam coming out of a white mage, like a Lily laser. Yo, if they have a Lily laser for their limit break, people are going to be asking for that for regular white mage. Be like, hey, where's my Lily laser beam? I don't have a Lily laser beam. And you can even see they have the wings on afterwards, the white mage wings on afterwards. Now, Vritra seems to be, whatever's happening actually in Thavnair, it's pretty serious to Vritra. I mean, I'm sure he's still a little self-conscious about what happened in Endwalker. He was only barely convinced to actually become responsible and step forward as the deity he had always been kind of to the Thavnarian people. And, you know, with Estinian helping him. And I guess this might explore a little bit as to how much he's really accepted that role, but he can't be dealing with anything too major at this point. Just something that has to be a stopping point, especially if he's willing to only use his avatar form in order to actually deal with the threat, because we don't see the full-blown Vritra actually dealing with whatever it is that's in the trailer later. We have Kryl, we have Graha show up. There's not really too much to pull away from this right here. Now, I will say this looks to be in the Baldessian Annex, and we know that's where the Myths of the 12 quest begins, and we know Graha is a part of that. So there's a decent probability that the scenes with Graha in this trailer, most of them at the very least, probably have to do with Myths of the Realm, including the scene where they disappear later. There's a lot of question marks about the actual zone where Myths of the Realm takes place, how we get there, what it actually is. And I just have a feeling that's what's going to be explored. Now, we do get to see the Dancer ability here in PvP, actually charming and forcing them to walk towards the Dancer, which would be very strong in PvP if it hit all 4 people. And then this is also the other map we haven't gotten to see. We can see the wind turbines, and we were told that there would be like wind aspects to this. You can kind of see it blowing off on the left-hand side. There's like a little twister. But we don't really get to see it in full force like we do the other map. So I guess this one will need to, I just need to wait. My favorite thing is this ninja move. Look at this. I'll do it frame by frame. See the ninja? Look, bam, walks up, teleports around. Look at that. And then does an attack animation, does another attack animation, and then instantly jumps, disappears, and I don't see them reappear anywhere. They might be stealthed, or they might have just like jumped back like 10 yalms or something like that. Now we also have this section right here with Ishtola and us, as well as a Mammoth. Now Mammoth's not too surprising to see. We know that the Charlayans are pretty adept at imbuing these Mammoths with properties. This is specifically a scribe Mammoth, if I'm not mistaken. And we know that based on the trailer, Ishtola is trying to find a way to travel between the shards. So we now have the true identities of the 12 being explored. We have potentially the ruins under the bounty being explored. We have the ability of traveling between the shards being explored. It looks like 6.1 is trying to take everything we were told about at the end of Endwalker and move the pieces forward in such a way that we don't know which one we are actually going to be dedicating a lot more of our time to, or at least not until we actually have the patch, because we could probably have some red herrings and incomplete ideas of just how prevalent a lot of those things are here. Heck, even in the live letter, there's a kangaroo minion, which doesn't seem like much to people, but Marasidia is basically Australia, much like we have the New World being the Americas, we have Eorzea itself being like Africa essentially. Then we have Garlemald being like Europe, Russia, and then we have like the Far East. We have China with Yanjia. We have Hingashi for Japan. Like we have all these different inspirations, and with Kangaroo, it's much more explicit than it seems. And even the devs themselves have outright said to Yoshi P, "We need to go to Marasidia." And so he's like, it wouldn't be too surprising to see us go there. He warned us that in a recent interview. So every possible thread is being placed at this point. And I'm very interested to see where all of it goes. Now, going back to that Graha scene, again, I think we are in the Baldessian Annex, and we can actually see a map in the back right there. It looks to just be, it's got a few notes on it I can't help but notice. And we can see some of the grand companies of Eorzea. So that might be the grand company of Eorzea, the full completed one with all the beast tribes and everything. Or yeah, I guess they're still the beast tribes, the ones that joined us. But, you know, it's different from the tribal quests that we have now. And just, it appears to have like a little post-it note to maybe cover either the whereabouts of something or the current happenings of a specific civilization. It looks to be... where is that? Is that... I can't tell. I'm not going to bother trying. It's where is... oh, that's the Rotano Sea right there. Okay. So it's over... Oh, wow. That's like on the other side of the world, I think, then. I can't read the actual name. I'm really bad with geography. We're not going to get hung up on it. Either way, we don't even know if it's important. Then we have the combined role quest. This is only available if you've done every role quest. That was available in Endwalker, and then this new quest will open up, and it looks to be exploring the possibilities of one remaining blasphemy or the leftover remnants of whatever sort of darkness or evil is left in the Tower of Babel. It looks like Fortunal is actually the one heading all of that, and there's almost certainly a solo instance given what we see later. So as we go forward, this is just the Castrum Meridianum with the duty support system. It's been reworked into a 4-man dungeon, so it's just a quick little peek at that. There's nothing fancy to break down here. This is funny. So Hildibrand, we last saw in patch 5.3 in the Hero's Gauntlet. About 5% of the time he appears towards the end of the dungeon. He just goes, "Where am I?" Seemingly, you know, not seemingly, clearly summoned by Elidibus in the climax of patch 5.3. And it looks like they're canonizing that in terms of what he's been up to. So this is probably his perspective of the events of patch 5.3. And the fact that they're working that into a story is probably going to be pretty good, because I can't imagine he found that a very normal occurrence given everything. Now we come back to the scene with Y'shtola. We see the opening door, and we're in the library. We know again that she's looking for a way to travel between the shards. She doesn't think she'll find it in some dusty old tome in the library. But this is Final Fantasy XIV, so she'll probably find it in some dusty old tome in a library, so I won't be too surprised to see. We have a quick peek at the Endsinger's aria. It looks to be just the room-wide phase from the end of the original one. And the background itself is looking a little bit different here. Now, in the normal Endsinger fight, we have the struggle between light and dark at the end, but this is a lot more like the early phase, where we're kind of just traveling throughout the stars. And given what we saw in the live letter, we know that we are actually going to be starting in that light versus dark kind of environment. So it looks like it's kind of going in reverse almost. But this is when she starts the desperate struggle to try and AoE you down. Now this, on the other hand, I have really no idea what to expect. There's just a bunch of Meteon heads that are all freaking out. This might have something to do with the Meteon head mechanic, but the big thing is the number of rings around each of them. There's 3 of them with 1 ring, 1 of them with 2 rings, and 1 of them with 3 rings. So that could be indicating the order of which they'll explode. They could just be point blank AoEs that are going to be going off one at a time. And then the ones with the 1 are... go off first. The one in the middle with the 2 is second. The one with the 3 goes off last. And the one with the 3 could all, maybe the size of the explosions could even be determined through something like this. But that's largely speculation. That's the only thing we can really pull out of the different heads with the different rings. We also know of some other mechanics with different colored planets that knock back, do point blank AoEs, and we know the heads themselves do some sort of AoE mechanic as well, given what we saw in the live letter. So they said this one's going to be worth 2 totems a piece. They said it would be a little tougher. They even said maybe it's, you know, almost equivalent to a Savage, but if it's almost, that means it's barely equivalent to the first one, so not that much more difficult at all. Either way, excited to see that. This I'm really excited for too. We are getting a follow-up to the Omega Raid series in patch, I think it still says 6.1x in the preview, so we don't exactly know when, but you will need the Omega Raid series done to get this follow-up quest, so I highly advise going out of your way to do it if you have not, because it is... Well, I'm not a big fan of how most of the Omega story goes. The way it ends is very satisfying, and there's been a lot of tie-ins in Endwalker and other media to kind of expand upon Omega and his people and how they perceive emotion and how they've evolved, I suppose. So we have that, and that's going to be another follow-up that we get, where there's a lot of side quest follow-ups that we're going to be getting. This is from the Arca Sodara. It looks like the Arca Sodara are starting a hippo racing I guess the hippo drag racing. You can see now it's interesting here. I can't help but notice on the right we have oh God, I'm so bad with names. What's her face from the MSQ, it looks like. And on the left we have a much more extravagantly dressed what's it called? Arca Sodara. Either that's, you know, like a royalty equivalent of Arca Sodara, or it's even a Matanga. I don't think it's a Matanga, because that's they don't look quite the same and they're far more aggressive. But they're drag racing hippos, man. There's just Dom is here to race. And the one also I'd like to point out, the one with the fancy with all the fancy, he just blasts out the gate. He hit the NOS button as soon as they went. This is more of the role quest. We see Fortunaut looking at what is a very ominous looking Tower of Babel. Given everything that's happened, it's not good that the Tower of Babel is looking that way. So if there is a blasphemy remaining, and that is what the story is going to be following, then we really need to take care of that, because you can't have the Tower of Babel just chilling there and causing all sorts of issues. Now, these look to be the Lambs of Dalamud. They were basically a cult that kicked up when the 7th Umbral Era occurred, Bahamut essentially coming out. And they want the end of the world. They worship death, and they are constantly known for summoning Void Scent to try to meet their goals. It's a little more in-depth than that, but in Tamtara, I mean, that's a place they are known to frequent, is Tamtara. And with these demon statues here, it's quite possible they're playing the major role in the role quest line, I should say. No pun intended. So I think that they're going to be front and center, and whatever they're doing is going to lead to this like blasphemy or evil that's coming forth from the Tower of Babel. And we're going to, of course, just resolve it within that quest line itself. We do, of course, actually see... now, the big question is, and I think the answer to what I'm about to say is yes, that these are Void Scent. So these are clearly... similar to the creatures that we fought during the End of Days. You can even see the Hecdies is like this darker hue than we normally see. But they also look to be being summoned like void creatures and not like we normally see from the creatures from the End of Days. So I have a feeling these are just Void Scent that are being summoned by the Lambs of Dalamud. They've occupied the tower like we suggested. And then again, we have Vreacher here fighting back something. I don't know if he's healing something, fighting something back. It's not made abundantly clear. We're left largely in the dark, so there's not much to really speculate about there. Then we get into Myths of the Realm, and I don't know what to think about this. I'm excited. That much I do know. But in terms of where this is, what this is, and speculation in general, I can't help but feel like this isn't a real place. There's a couple of things that lead me to believe that. Some are from the live letter and some are from what we actually see here. But I feel like this is very Elpis-y, I suppose. Very Asian in a sense, very ancient. And I can't help but feel like it's all projections or memories of some kind, or just, I don't know, something that isn't just, oh, we found this random flying fortress that the 12 live in. You know what I mean? Like, how ridiculous would that be? Like, oh, there's just a flying fortress and a few of the 12 are there. Like, I mean, I guess it could technically be like, I guess since we got Buyer God here on the screen. It could be something like, you know, what's it, Olympus, I suppose, and again, that would still fit in with Elpis having that more Greek-esque feel, like a Greece in the sky, essentially. But looking at some of the like ether streams we see, you can see it over on the left. You can see even in the back that like glowing, I guess, platform over there. But these like crystal projectors, these foci that you see like in the top middle, when we see them in the live letter, it almost feels like they're changing and moving things or making things appear that are not normally there. So I can't help but feel like this is just, oh yeah, you can actually get a better look at it right here. That's actually the major castle that we have. And then, of course, there's Bayergot. In case you were wondering how people are guessing, the hammer is one thing, but also look at the symbol on the hammer. I mean, I'm fairly certain that's Bayergot's, and that's what everyone else has told me, so I'm trusting them because I don't craft. And it looks to be like mechanically the hammers are going to knock the arena around. You can fall off. We already know that for certain, so don't let that happen. You can even see the symbol all around the arena. And again, this looks like a Greek Colosseum in a sense. Like there's seats to watch everything from. There's just nobody in them. Moving forward, we have, it looks to be, now this is a giant, same one of those contraptions, but we're in the desert now. You can see the trees, the sand. And again, like this probably just isn't a real place. These are all projections, I think, that are helping us get in tune with what the 12 were and who their inspirations were. And just, it's blast to the past and not like a legitimate threat, at least not yet. But there is something I want to point out later. Here we have the role quest, the solo quest for the role quest line. You can see Fauchenaut here appearing as a trust. And we do get this scene right here, but it's very, very hard to see what's actually happening. In this scene, we see Fauchenaut is trying to hold it back. He puts up a giant barrier right there. And we can also see that Nero is here. So this is probably where the Nero car actually comes from. It makes sense given that we're back in Garlemald, so I'm not too surprised to see him with all the events that are going on here. It's possible even he did this by accident, and we're just trying to fix his mess-ups because, I don't know, maybe he feels some degree of remorse finally. Now, this is another thing that had a lot of people trying to guess. So this looks like this is out in Mordona. I believe that is the keeper of the lake, the Agrius on the left, and you can see the various light crystals on the right. I could be wrong. There's another location that comes to mind, but I'm almost certain we are here in the keeper of the lake. And we walk off onto the water and we disappear. I think this is just a cutscene from Myths of the Realm, and this leads us to those projections that we're seeing or wherever the Myths of the Realm raid actually is. Because we know Graha plays a crucial role in this, and that is us on the left. That is the warrior of light, essentially, on the left-hand side, and that Graha disappears. And then we go back into here. This is also in Azima's land. You know, you can see the fire, the torches. And yeah, this is most likely Azima, as most people have guessed with the fire fans and the fire theme. A lot of people surprised that we're probably seeing her early, but I don't see any symbols of Azima anywhere. Maybe it's on her dress, because her dress does have the outlines, but it's hard for me to make them out all too properly. I don't know if it's any more apparent anywhere, because there's just a lot of visuals on the screen. And then we have Rhalgr's statue. I mean, we're very used to seeing this. We know this statue inside and out. This, I understand that Rhalgr's reach, the scale of the statue is shrunk because they don't do things to scale unless it's inside of an instance, and they really need to portray it. We see that with Alexander. If you go to the hinterlands and look at how big Alexander is, and then you zone into Eye of the Creator, you get an idea of what his like actual size is compared to us, like how much of a behemoth he really is. And this could be the same thing where we are on the real one. I don't think that's the case. I think, again, that these are all projections. Again, you can see the lightning strikes in the back, but you can see those foci that just I'm super suspicious about in terms of how real these events are. And then again, I pointed out earlier, he has two different colored portals in the back. One of, I can't tell you what color they are because I'm colorblind, but one's bright and one's dark. The one on the left is dark, the one on the right is bright. And it looks like he punches into one of them right here, and then his fist comes out the other end. You can see the giant AoE on the other side. So that's probably just going to be something to do with the color. You can see there are two different ones, so you have to see which one he's punching into to get to the safe side of the arena, and he could probably do multiple punches in a row, I'd have to imagine as well. This is part of the Nald Thal fight. Definitely Nald Thal, there's no question about that. And those are almost certainly Thal's balls, so good to see that. They're slowly crashing into the ground. It looks like they're crashing one at a time and probably doing an AoE each time. So the idea is going to be to just avoid them, you know, before they hit the ground. Don't be under them when they are actually about to hit the ground. Then we have another scene here. We have Estinian, we have Ishtola, we have us. I think this is just inside of the dungeon and the bounty. Also worth noting, there's actually two of them. The familiars from Matoya's dungeon back in patch. What patch was that? Was that 6 point? Was that 5.4? What is Master Matoya? Yeah, I think it was 5.4. The second boss of the one dungeon. And then you can also see one that looks like it's fried, kind of like right under Ishtola. It looks like the same thing, but it looks like it's been damaged in some capacity. So whatever they discovered in there seems to have unleashed something else. Now, this, again, I also think is part of Myths of the 12. But what it actually is a tough call. Now, this could also be part of the role quest line as well, given the appearance of everything here. But I don't have any reasonable guesses of who this would actually be. Whether this is the next big bad and this is just the teaser at the end. The big thing I'm noticing is that this looks to be in the 13th. So we know that the 13th has Void Scent that kind of... We classify them into a hierarchy. With the World of Darkness... Or sorry, the Cloud of Darkness as one of the highest entities. But we don't know everything about it. I'm wondering if this is diving a little bit more into sort of what is the actual hierarchy of the creatures inside of the 13th. Oh, you know what? Is this, what's his face from E2S? No, the one that, that Gaia summons to, like, punch us. What's his name? He just literally is a giant fist that comes out of a void portal. I'd have to pull up his hand, but actually, yeah, I wonder if that's him. I wonder if this is the guy who actually is the E2S fist. I gotta go take a look. That closed fist. Remember that. Is it? No, it's not that. I can't remember the name. Times like this, I wish I was better at remembering names. And then we just get a cool little shot of Naldthal's finisher right here. That you can see the entire raid underneath. So this is just a really cool angle of their big raid-wide AoE. And then we know we're getting this outfit, by the way, for this patch, and that's just, you know, a fun little, we're going on a new adventure, And, you know, the artwork with the hilarious warrior face in the back. And then just a little teaser for the Dragon Songs or Pies. So there's definitely a bunch of little details, especially because I couldn't remember some of the names of some of the things in this trailer. But they are literally trying to pique the interest of every little bit, all these side stories that are picking up on things that we haven't finished or need to start resolving or could just explore in the future. They are leaving no stone unturned, so we don't know exactly where we're going next. We'll see if after we actually complete 6.1, if our perspective on that actually changes and we have a better idea of where we might be going next. Marasidia just seems to be a pretty sure bet, but the other shards, the new world, all these other various islands and locales, likely to be places we go as well. Anyway, with that, if I missed anything, put it in the comments section of the video below. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We'll have tons of content coming for patch 6.1 in the coming weeks, both before it comes out, after it comes out, and then when Ultimate comes out. Oh boy. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.